Hello and welcome to Bob Reeves Brass. This is John Snell. I'm so happy that you're here joining us today, and what an inspirational guest we have joining us here in a few seconds. Trumpeter, arranger, composer, conductor, I mean, you name it, producer, Dontae Winslow. So let's bring Dontae in here. Hey Dontae, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I'm doing great. Good afternoon. How are you, John?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's so great to see you. I wish we could be doing this in person, but hey, it's better, safer this way, and
Safe is better.
let's do the thing, and let's talk about trumpet and life and who knows what else here. For those of you watching, go ahead and type your comments down in the type your questions down in the comments. Get that switched up there. Show us some love. Let us know where you're viewing from, because of course it's exciting for us to see who we have watching from around the world. And most importantly, for the next half hour, 45 minutes or so, Dontae Winslow will be here answering your questions. So first things first, Dontae, you just did a thing for BET, correct? Over the weekend? You
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how that went and what that was?
That was amazing. It was an opportunity for me and my son Jedi to do a musical underscore, a montage under the Black Lives Moment picture in the BET package, where you had James Baldwin speaking and many civil rights activists speaking about change. And the song was based on the original 1930 rendition of Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday. So I played like a trumpet solo similar to the one from that recording, and Jedi played piano. Brian Fraser Moore played drums. Adam Blackstone, he was a music director, he played bass. And normally we do the award show where we play for the entire show with different artists, but obviously during COVID, people are doing things remotely and online. So it was a great chance for us to remember those who have suffered and lost their lives, to pay homage to people who fight for freedom, but also to give a musical tribute to such a deep and inspiring moment. And so that was a good chance for Jedi also to be exposed to playing on TV, what it's like to put together a live session at home and then present it as a mixed version for worldwide consumption.
Amazing. What was it like as a father? You must have been so proud.
Let me tell you, I'm so proud of this kid. Every day he is amazing us at home. I started him on piano about 3 or 4 years ago, just some scales, some 2-5-1s, and I'm so excited that he has taken it on his own to practice, to share, to listen to music. He's developing so rapidly. So every day we play about 3 or 4 songs together, then he'll go off on his own and learn new songs. We talk about all kinds of hip hop music and production and string arrangement. He'll look at me doing assignments and say, "What you doing now, Dad?" I said, "I'm doing counterpoint." He said, "What's counterpoint?" And so we get into it. So it's like we're buddies now. We start producing songs together, making samples. And so I'm so excited for his new growth. He's starting to produce on his own and discover music on his own. And I guess for any parent, a great reward for your child is when they take it upon themselves and they become infused with the passion to discover on their own what music is about, and wanting to learn and practice and study without you having to tell them to do it. That's the greatest gift a parent can have.
Oh man, it's so close to Father's Day too, man. How cool! Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
We already got folks checking in. William Bryan says, "Hey Dontae, Peabody represent." So we've got one of your old Peabody friends there. Jody's checking in, says hello. So for those of you watching, let us know where you're viewing from. Show us some love in the comments. And of course, if you have any questions for Dontae, now is your time to ask them. Don't wait. What we've learned doing these things, we have people watching that are shy, and then the last 5 or 10 minutes, all of a sudden we get a flood of questions. So you want to make sure that you're asking now so that we'll be able to get to them. Yeah, get them in now. It's like being in class. Everyone's shy to raise their hand. But we did have a few questions come in advance. One was about your the writing and arranging. You were really busy before the COVID shutdown. I mean, you did the Super Bowl, right? You did the Kobe
Yes.
Bryant Memorial, which was just incredible.
Thank you.
So how did you get into that side of the business outside of the trumpet playing?
Wow. Moved to LA. I think one of my first arranging gigs was working with a producer named Warren Campbell. When I first came to LA, I started playing on some Mary Mary records, a gospel group. I would arrange horns for them, and one of the big classics we did was called Biggest Greatest Thing with a full big band. And I played a trumpet solo at the beginning. It was kind of a vintage 1940s swing era bebop tune mixed with gospel. Warren Campbell, he was already one of my favorite producers, and so when I moved to LA, I said, man, I would love to meet Warren Campbell. So God blessed me with the opportunity to get in the studio with him, and when I started creating with him, creating samples and ideas, and then a big band arrangement, that was just earth shattering for me. I started looking at my old scores and calling my old music teachers, like, I'm in LA now and I'm doing it big, so what should I be listening to? They say, well, listen to some Count Basie. You got it. It's in your ear. So when that went well, that was like a gold record that we had done. It's called Biggest Greatest Thing by Murray Murray. After that, I started arranging strings for, again, for the same producer. Then I started working with DJ Khalil, another platinum producer, Terrace Martin, so many producers in LA. And as my name got around, other people would call me. My friend Adam Blackstone would call me to do arrangements for artists. And, word got around for doing horns and strings. And of course, I've grown up, I went to Peabody and studied classical music. And I grew up listening to Mahler and Stravinsky and Prokofiev and Bartok and all these great composers. And so that kind of has always been a part of my musical palette. And listening, looking at scores, playing in orchestras, gave me kind of the sound. And as a producer, we deal with plugins and software synths and sample libraries, and putting all of that together to make a synthesis of what sounds realistic is kind of like my gift. Making something sound like a sample or sound like it's from a different time period, it just comes naturally to me. I feel like a chameleon where I can jump through different genres and feel at home and present it in an authentic manner.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but for the Kobe, was it like a Beethoven piece or something that you did?
Yes, that was the Beethoven, and that piece, of course, it's a classic piece for just piano, but we thought to add strings to it and make it kind of simplistic. And I thought, how can I not mess up this melody but make something very, very pretty? And also, I would wind up having to conduct it. So I figure, it's a deep moment. Let me embellish without destroying what the great composer had already, laid out. So it was a piece special to Kobe and his wife. And so we rehearsed it one weekend. It was like a 3-day process. Came up with the arrangement. It was approved by her. She made a couple of tonal comments about it. And then on a Sunday morning for the funeral, we rehearsed it about 5 a.m., went through it about 10 times. We talked about dynamics and shaping and color. The players were amazing. And that helped it become, such a monumental moment. I mean, it was a big deal. I had a lot of weight on my shoulders. I felt like the whole room was full of, so much heaviness. And I felt like music was the one thing that could let everybody take a deep breath. And God, one prayer, I called a friend to pray for me. And then going into it, I felt like, God, you take control of this moment and let everybody feel some sense of you right now. And I think musically, that's the most important part of any arrangement or any assignment you're given, is to step out of the way and let God work through you and let him speak to the people, whether it's the notes you're writing, the color or the orchestration or the arrangement, or you conducting, because you're still being used in the present moment.
Yeah, and that was an incredible moment to watching that. I mean, yeah, the power of music. I think you said it correctly,
It's beyond us.
Yeah, it is. We have Mark Ray checking in. What's up, Dontae? You used to sit in with my band JJ at the 13th floor Belvedere Hotel. So we have some friends checking in.
Remember that, the 90s.
Yeah, so great to see you doing your thing. And he wants to know if you've done any solo recording.
I have a record called Winslow Dynasty, The Life album that is on iTunes, and Dontae Winslow and Winslow Dynasty, Enter the Dynasty, that's featuring me, my wife Mashika, and Jedi. And we are constantly working on projects now. Mashika, Queen Chic, as her name is coming out with the album. I have a new album that's slated for the summer to come out. Jedi is working on a project. I might even get Lil Messiah to get in on a project. We're constantly recording, and we release songs as we feel them. We released Come Too Far most recently, and that's about civil rights. We released it Black History Month around end of February, beginning of May, and then here we come into COVID, and we came into Black Lives Matter being very popular now. It's like a trending thing. But around Juneteenth, the celebration of blacks being emancipated, we released the video version of it, of us performing it live on Instagram. And so that was a treat to get to see us perform live, how we would do if we were at a real show. So we're always releasing songs. I put out Trumpet and a Mic as we discussed in the last interview. That's on YouTube. Me playing the trumpet and orchestrating, conducting, everything I do, kind of all in one, rapping. And every about 3 or 4 months, we put out new songs for people to consume. Constantly.
Always doing stuff, and I mean, I have to say, I have to thank you for all the content that you're putting out, both musically, but then also the inspiration with you and your family that you're providing. There's people that are sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, wondering what to do with the world the way it is, and you guys are just. I mean, I don't know how you do so much. It's amazing. So thank you.
I let the script breathe through me. I think for me now, at this stage of my career, it's about doing things that are important, things that matter, things that God is breathing through you. Like I say, I've tried to remain like water in open vessel. So I don't look at the trends to see like what's popular. Can I get close to that? I might have thought about that in my 20s, maybe my 30s as a producer. Let's produce something like this. Let's do something like that. Now I think we catch the vibration of what the universe is saying. I think the ether is always floating ideas. Things are moving through, and you kind of catch the wave of what should be said at a given moment. Now, many times you make a song or a statement that's inappropriate for the moment, meaning you're going this way and the whole world is going that way. I think that's cool, because normally I've found that I've been ahead of myself 5 years, 10 years, 2 years. So I've trusted myself enough to know I just put out what I think, and you guys catch up to it later. And I look back and I say, oh man, I was doing that at this time. And so even if this generation doesn't get it, I feel like there's so many younger people looking at my work, 13-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, even if 40 and 50-year-olds aren't listening, I tend to write for the kids. I write for a generation I haven't seen yet. Mm-hmm. That's how I think of it. So I trust that it's coming through me the right way, and I just rely on that authenticity. I let it breathe out of me, and then, it's up for the people to disseminate it.
Beautifully said. We got Alexander checking in and says hello. Proud to be a product of Baltimore. So, man, I almost have your whole life spanned here in the comment section.
Yeah.
A lot of friends showing up. So we are here live with Dontae Winslow answering your questions. So show us some love in the comments. We're doing something for the first time this time. Instead of just streaming to Facebook, we are also live to Twitter. So if you're on Twitter watching this, hello, welcome. And also to YouTube. So we're trying to be everywhere at once.
Everywhere at once. And I have Instagram going too.
Awesome. So yeah, it's 2020. You just have to be everywhere. So show us some love in the comments. Let us know where you're viewing from, because we're here stuck in the shop. Dontae, you're at home. I mean, it's we're doing the thing, so it's great to see who we can connect with. So show us in the comments. Let's get to trumpet playing a little bit. How have you been staying inspired during the shutdown? With the trumpet playing, do you have a daily routine that you're doing, or can you take us through that?
Sure. I have a schedule written. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a big fan of lists. So I have a list board and a chalkboard. Me and my wife, she just telling me last night how she was grateful for getting it for me. I'm thanking her now. She got a list for her workout schedule. She did 100 days of working out and amazingly transformed her body. And so with her doing that, I said, well, let me practice in the same way. And I've taken some days off. So I'm on like day 90 of practicing. So I said, first I'll practice 100 days straight, and then I will attack my weaknesses. And I've written them all down, things I need to work on, things I want to get better at. I try to do an hour of technique and then an hour of musicality. I spend about an hour practicing with Jedi. We learn new songs, and then we practice small loops of pieces of a song, the hard parts, like the bridge is difficult here, so let's loop the bridge 20 times. We have a formula where we play a particular song 30 times in a row. I'm gonna get to the trumpet technique part. The musical part is we play 30 times in a row, and then we both take ridiculously long solos just to bore ourselves out so that we run out of ideas. And the point is that after you start repeating yourself and you get the first thought mind ideas out, then you start getting creative. So after 15 choruses, you start to begin to come into your most creative self, is what I've learned. And then I tend to, and I show this to Jedi, I play as fast as I can, about 300 to 320 BPM. Then I play slowly, like 85 BPM. And then I go medium, around 185. And then Jedi told me, he said, Dad, that works. He said, now 185 sounds like it's, elementary school time, like it's a nursery rhyme. So you go faster than when you can play, and you go slower than when you can play, and you play in the middle. So that's my musical thing. And I do that for different songs. I look at voicings. I study a couple of voicings books. I listen to a bunch of music, different time periods. And trumpet-wise, of course, I love the videos that you guys put up, the Bob Reeves stories of every trumpet player's life story, their technique behind the scenes. Those are very inspiring to me. I recommend anybody to go to their podcast and check out the podcast of every legendary trumpet player that's ever been. All my favorite guys are on there. You can pick up so many practice tips. And so I kind of borrow tips from everyone. And what I've seen work for me best are the stamp warm-ups, sometimes mouthpiece buzzing for me. So when I wake up, I get in the shower, hot water is in there going, I try to buzz. I try to just buzz around some minor, major chords, triads, then I do a mouthpiece buzzing. Just 1 or 2 minutes. I just want to get blood in my face. I try to do either, if I take the Winton Road, I'll do like a couple little long tones on a G and go down half steps. If I take the Chuck Finley mode, I'll do like those calisthenics, da da da, and keep it on the face and breathe between the mouth. I might do some Bill Adams, a couple long tones, take a breath, long tones, and take them up half steps. For me, if I do a few of those exercises, some lip slurs like violin, I will feel amazing. And then I go to this book that I got from Sean Jones called Top Tones, that kind of stretches the range all around the horn, doing seconds, fourths, fifths, sevenths. That's taken my range up to like a high G in the last maybe 2 years. I love that book. I love the Clark's studies. Pick any one you want. And my friend Rolf from the Boston Symphony gave me a book called The Secret Preservation to Technique that I love. It's a little thin book. And Ernest Williams, I believe. And that book gets you through everything you need to play in about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So I like smaller books. Gary Grant gave me a book called The Thick Method that's red. I have like 6 books together. And what I like to do is I call it play a page per book, which is really like 10 minutes per technique or skill. And if I do 10 minutes per skill and I do 6 skills, that's 1 hour of technique. That's how I break it down. I know it sounds so, mathematical, but if I can do long tone, lip slurs, double tonguing, single tonguing, range, and then slurs, that kind of hits every aspect of the trumpet. So I try to do that every day. I'd like to take a Sunday or any day where I'm feeling tight, dry, off. Don't play any notes. Then when I come back the day after the day off, I feel super strong. Sometimes I get new high notes. I feel super fresh. I like to burn my face out at the end of a practice session with very long, powerful long tones. I think it's the Reynolds-Schilke method, but David Bilger gave us this sheet when I was at Peabody where you just go ba dee da 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 da, and you do long tones, triple forte. Makes your face feel like just peeling. And then when you take a break and come back, you feel even stronger. So, I like to it's kind of like lifting weights, right? I like to play hard, play strong, play loud, play soft, put it all in a session, take a break, and then come back and play music.
Yeah. Oh man, so and you do that religiously. I mean, it's so you haven't you've kept the inspiration up even though we're stuck at home.
Yeah, home doesn't matter to me. I love the trumpet. People underestimate how much I love the trumpet. I love the trumpet so much. I mean, I can listen to the trumpet around the clock. I just walk to the bathroom and trumpet just Dizzy Gillespie just blaring out my phone. I can sleep with a trumpet. I had this trumpet next to my bed. It's a trumpet downstairs. It's in every room. I am a trumpet. It's like the instrument, the sound of it just calls to me day and night and day and night. So, even if I wasn't playing, I would be listening to it. I'm a fan of the instrument. So I never have a problem finding inspiration.
Love it, Dontae. So glad you're on here. That's what we need right now.
That being said, me being a pro, if I'm on tour and I go to a foreign country, if I'm in Berlin or something, and there's a guy playing on a corner, I will stand there and listen to him because even at the most elementary level, a guy who ain't played since high school, he's playing for a couple dollars on the corner. For me, there's some beauty in his struggle, even trying to get sound out of the trumpet. I'm like, okay, I hear you. And when he try, it's like a basketball player. Like, if you see some guys who aren't pros, but they're giving it their best, like, don't you still like to watch it? If you're a pro player, if you love it no matter who's doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. We are here live with Dontae Winslow taking your questions. We are here on Facebook. We're also on Twitter, on Periscope, and YouTube. So wherever you're watching, send us your questions for Dontae, and we will ask him here live. Show us some love, and also let us know where you're viewing from. It always makes us, like I said, mentioned before, it's always great to see who we have. People over in Europe, people in Australia, probably waking up right now, having their coffee. So let us know where you're viewing from. So put them right down below in the comments. Alexander's asking, can you speak about Nile Rodgers and how he may or may not have impacted your model of production and arranging?
Oh yeah, I have this song called "Shit Yeah." That song is kind of influenced by Nile and the production of the old '80s, late '70s funk, dance, pop, going into Rick James / Roger and Zapp. I mean, I'm influenced by all of that stuff because I grew up listening to that in West Baltimore in the inner city, and my mother listened to that kind of music, the Mary Jane Girls and stuff like that. I think listening to the way live instruments are recorded is what piqued my interest. When I listen to Quincy Jones' production, when I listen to Rod Temperton and Heat Wave and all of those kinds of songs, I listen to the brass, the arrangement, the Jerry Hayes stuff and the strings. I listen to, Paul Jackson Jr., the bass players, the mini move players, Bernie Worrell and all of those guys that played with P-Funk, all of that whole period. As a production fanatic, I love to study the mix of the song, the way it makes you feel, the way the hook comes in, how it's, how it comes out of the verse, the form, the structure. When I go to a nightclub, sometimes I like to go to club just to look at people react to music, if that makes sense. So, this my song. And I'm like, oh, look at the way the girl's body moves to the bass line. Look at the way the guys are like trying to be tough and macho, but they're vibing off the way the hook sound. I think watching people listen and react to music is a thrill for a producer. And if you're lucky enough to produce a song and have people move to it, that's the biggest inspiration in the world, because these are frequencies and things you've crafted at home, any producer, artist, writer, and you get to see humans move to something that just came as a download through you. You made it, it was an idea. It went to paper, pencil, pad, or laptop. It became musical frequencies. They put it together, you mix it, you serve it to people, and people actually move from something that was just nothing at first. That's like giving birth to a baby. To me, that's so amazing. So from that standpoint, people like Nile Rodgers, who've made so many classics that have moved the world for more than 30 years, you got to wonder, is there something special about people who can translate and take down notation enough from the ether, from God, bring it into tangible form, give it to you, and it's sticky. It stands the test of time. There's some magic in that. Not just look at the people like, wow, you hear really well, you take dictation really well, or you're just able to get out of the way really well as to what's being spoken through the universe. To me, that's really magic and really, really special. And I don't think craft can teach you that. I think either you're born with that or your humility allows it to come through you. But certainly you can't learn a lot about music and all of a sudden make something and it becomes sticky. It's not a knowledge thing.
Oh man, great advice. We got like a masterclass right here on a live Q&A. This is brilliant, Dontae. We have Farnell Newton, a wonderful player, checking in. Yeah, from Portland, Oregon. How you doing, Farnell? We got to have him on here sometime. Well, I'll have to reach out to Farnell. Yeah, great guy. Can you talk a little bit about your workflow? So when you have an artist coming to you for like you did the Super Bowl or something like that, what does your workflow look like? I mean, how far in advance are you getting the tunes, and are you writing and arranging?
Sometimes very last minute. Super Bowl was about 2-3 weeks. With the Kobe Memorial, that was about 2 days.
Whoa.
With the Eminem at the Oscars, that was about a week, maybe 5 days. Sometimes it's so last minute. That was a big orchestral arrangement for Lose Yourself, which was the 20-year anniversary of him performing on the Oscars. For me, my favorite thing is to sing into the phone or write something in my text notes. If you give me an idea, I like to go off, just as a jazz musician, I like to go off my first instinct, my first response to it. So you say, Dontae, it goes da 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 da, and I say, oh, and like da da da, and I just put it in the phone. When I take that home, I've landed more records by taking dictation from a phone because it's the first natural response. It's no pretense. It's not me trying to do anything. It's what my body said to what you said. Like we're having a conversation now. You say, how are you? I said, you say, how are you, Dontae? And I say, I'm doing fine. And you? That right there is the most natural response, right?
Yeah.
And so I do that musically. If someone gives me a song, I ask for the BPM. They give me a tempo. I put it in a DAW. I normally go with notation software. If it's big and orchestral and I know musicians are going to have to play it live, my first thing is to get the notation right. If it's not going to be played by an orchestra and just be played by me and a few horn players, I normally can play my trumpet and play all the parts all at once, because then, the guys are normally going to learn it by ear. So I figure it's going to be an ear situation, or it's going to be a situation where musicians don't use their ear and they're going to be reading. If they're reading and they're doing notation, I like to load the MP3 with the BPM in a notation software. I then start to come up with a basic outline, high, low. This is what I learned from my teacher, Jeremy Lubbock, great arranger, who did Celine Dion, Michael Jackson, everybody. He talked a lot about depth, and Conrad Pope, the greater orchestrator, also talks about depth. They talk about light, heavy, soft, loud, high, and low. I think of those large parameters first. So bridge, I'm like, and verse, I'm like, so we already got size, right? And then I talk about volume, dynamics. With every score, once I come up with a basic outline of where I will speak and where I won't speak, I'm good at staying out of the way of words. The words are the most important part of the song. So what is the story? The story is first. I'm second. I never get my ego involved with that. So I decorate the story. I listen to the words. What are they talking about? Are they talking about being high in planes? Do I need to make airplane type effects with the violins? I'm listening to each word, each phrase. I'm really big on emotion, so I find my favorite part of the song, and if it's crying, then I figure, how can I cry? I want to cry with you. I'm going to come, and if it goes to a dissonant place, then I try to use some kind of dissonant harmony to decorate that part, right? So we're talking colors, feelings, and emotions. We're not even talking about specific technique. After that, I kind of got the gist of how the song will be structured or formed. Then I go in and I can get detailed with, okay, are we doing 4-part harmony, 3-part harmony? Are we doing counterpoint where it's contrary motion, lines are going against each other? Are we doubling octaves in unison? Because unison is a very big sound. Most people think that harmony is big, but harmony is actually dense and small. Unison is actually big. If you listen to a big orchestral score, like the opening of Star Wars, that's like big unison notes, maybe a few fifths. But once you start putting thirds and sevenths and sharp nines, it's almost like you compress the sound of the hugeness, even though you're adding more notes. That's the tricky thing about harmony. Same as when you're playing a horn arrangement, you're doing it for a big artist, like we do songs with, Lady A or Justin Timberlake, even Queen Latifah, and it's a big stadium. If I come up with a horn line like, that's not going to speak in an 80,000 room stadium. We don't have the right mics. We don't have the right speakers. By the time the speed of sound is so slow, you're talking about 700 miles per hour with the speed of light, it's not going to translate to the person that's up in. So you got to go bad, bad, bad. Big and slow goes far. Just like your actor on stage. But in a smaller club, it works. And on a record, it works.
Yeah.
Provided the right engineer. So I think about things like that when I write. What's the size of the audience? The end consumer tells me how it's going to be. How many players do I have? A small player? Do I have 80-piece orchestra? I wouldn't write. You can write 16th notes for 80-piece orchestra, but it can come off very sloppy. So you leave your violins for 16th notes, and you just know who to give what instrument. But one key thing I learned is giving very musical parts to second players, like violas and third trumpet. The players who don't get to shine, give them beautiful parts that normally brings out so many colors and emotions in an arrangement. There's so many skills you can learn from just watching scores, so anybody learns to do that. But at the end of my process, I take a break. I go listen to some music that's similar to what I'm doing. Then I go back to it. And if it's a medley, which I find the most difficult, but also fun, when you have 2 and 3 songs in one, because you have to change tempo, change meter within the same song. And with the songs we do, we have a lot of gospel keyboard players, and they playing thick chords. Sometimes you can't tell what the harmony is, and then it's a transition, then it goes to another song, different tempo. And you got to write all that in sheet music, but it's not about just writing it in sheet music. It's not like the old days where you write whatever you want and the musicians just play it. Now, The managers and agents, a lot of times, they aren't musicians, so they're like, I need to hear a demo. So you got to make a mock-up, and then the mock-up has to be so good sonically, and then it has to fit the tempo. So you have to do so much work in the prep. That's almost harder than recording it. The demo has to sound so killing. So I spent a lot of time in trying to make a killing demo. So changing keys, changing tempo, metric modulation, meter modulation, tempo modulation, come up with a demo. Normally the person says, oh, all right, Dontae, you killed it. Change bar 10. I normally get 1 or 2 edits. And then I take that sheet music, put it in the DAW. I add soft sample library software plugins, and then I take it to live musicians. We find a studio to record it in. Sometimes I do it remotely. And then here we are delivering it to the Super Bowl or to, Oscars or BET Awards or whoever.
Amazing. And then, a lot of these shows you end up performing on too. Like, does that just add another layer of stress and anxiety, like dealing with all of that going in, and then, or is it like a release? Oh, hey, I can finally get to just play the trumpet. How does that work?
I feel so many different kinds of way about that. You might have to ask my friends that I work with. I would be curious to see how they say I handle the stress. As a trumpet player, I think I handle it pretty well. There's always the fear of missing notes on television. And, the people I work for hire me, especially Adam Blackstone, he's real particular about it being right. And we do a lot of recording, which helps us. I feel like when you record a lot, me and Jedi record a lot at home, and we listen to ourselves and say, not bad. I could have worked on that bar better. Oh, those changes, I could have come with something more creative. In the same way, when I work with Adam with BBE All-Stars, we record things, and then we listen to the study tapes. And Brian or Justin or Daniel, everybody will say, oh man, bar 3, we should. So we're always assessing ourselves. So by the time you hear it on TV, we've heard it 15 times, and we've probably recorded it 30, 20, 10 times. So the recording of it, I think, makes you a better player, right? But you're still nervous because I think trumpet players miss more notes than drummers and keyboard players. Let's take the players out of it. I can play a C 40 times on a piano and I'll never miss. I don't know if a trumpet player can do that. I can go bang, 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 because it's physical hand. I know it is. I can't miss it. With the trumpet, you gotta kind of guess, use your ear and use air, and we don't know for sure if you're gonna hit that note. Not like a piano or a drum. If I see a snare and I hit it, I know I'm not gonna miss that snare. I could, but I got a 99.9% chance. With the trumpet, depending on the skill level, there are a lot of great trumpet players. A lot of them don't miss a lot of notes, but every trumpet player has missed a note.
Yeah.
So
that's
yeah, and also we're so bright and above the band that we can't tell if the bass player missed a note. You just can't. You can't. It's just not audible. So we are very, very audible. You can't tell if the sax player as much. So it's such a heroic instrument. It's an instrument you gotta, lack of a better word, you gotta have, ultimate confidence. You got to be like alpha superhero. You're the lead. You're the one that's saying, I'm leading you guys. So in that sense, whether you miss or not, you still have to have the confidence like, I never miss. That's the kind of instrument you have to have. I'm trying to be sensitive to male, female. Back in the day, we say, man, you got to have balls to play trumpet. But there's so many great women that play trumpet. They don't have balls. So I don't want to say that term, but I know men used to say that. But I would say you have to have so much confidence and so much fearlessness to play the trumpet well, that's a part of the psychology of being good at the instrument. So do I feel nervous? Yes, but I got to take that and throw it away. I go to the stage, I'm about to kill this right here. That's the mind frame of a trumpet player. And then whatever happens, it just happens. Most of the time, I do really, really well from listening to tapes, being super critical, from getting out of my own head, putting the Zen-like mask of, I do all kind of crazy stuff, like I am everything. I am one with God. God is breathing through me, or get out of the way. Trumpet players out there, I know they have different things they think about. Of course, practice helps a lot, like playing the same thing over and over. Relaxing helps, because if you tense up, you miss way more. I find when I just don't care, when you just don't give a damn, you miss way less, right? That's worked for a lot of people. So writing it doesn't help me per se, but I will say recording it ahead of time does help. Having a supportive leader, like when a person like Jill Scott, Queen Latifah would tell me, I think Justin's kind of more laid back. When people are more laid back and they're like, man, just let's go out here and make some music, I think you miss less. when people say, you guys better be perfect, I think you miss more, you know? So it's the vibration and attention that the person puts on it that reflects on the player. So when I conduct a session, right, strings, whatever, I say, hey guys, don't worry about the notes. Give me your spirits, give me your soul. And I always have amazing sessions. I have the best recordings of musicians when I'm leading or conducting. I know this because of what they tell me. When I leave the stage, they text me like, oh my God, I mean, good arrangement, but thanks for your leadership. And I think a good leader brings out the best in the people around them by making them feel comfortable, by making them feel the most confident in their powers, because they do have God-given powers. It's up to me as a leader to activate them, right? You're the best. Ooh, we're about to make some music now. We're about to change the world. Don't worry about the notes. Don't worry about the notes. I'll fix the notes in Pro Tools. Even if I can't, I tell them that. I sell them that psychology because I need you to relax.
Yes.
And I need to be thinking about something other than black ink, black and white ink on paper. I need you to be thinking about colors, texture. If we had a funeral, I need you to be thinking about this man's life who gave so much to the world. I need you to be thinking about, you know, the players on the field. I need you to be thinking about, you know, an epic moment like the Oscars. Whatever I'm doing, I need you to think about something other than that, and then the best thing normally comes forward.
Woo!
That tennis game, you know, what is it?
Inner game of tennis and.
Yes, the game of tennis. I love that.
Man, that's amazing, Dontae. And of course, I'm using more technology here than I'm licensed to use. So I'm monitoring comments on YouTube. James has a question I'll get to in a second. Over from YouTube, Farnell's checking in, saying you great wisdom, great listening to your wisdom, Dontae. Jim on Facebook, you speak to me. Thank you for the advice. Robert, such sage advice for all musicians. My dad's checking in, and Keith says, hi, Dontae. He misses being at the shop and seeing you come in. So,
hey, Todd, nice to see you.
Yeah. Raymond Mason checking in, says,
hey, Ray.
Yeah. And Mashika says, you're a brick, man.
You're a brick.
You are a brick.
I love you, Mashika.
Love it.
Right there. That's my world.
Man, it's so great to have everyone here. You know, a lot of us are still shut up at home, locked in at home, and great, you know, such great advice. And it's more than just playing the trumpet. It's more than just arranging. Like you said, it's leadership, it's spirit.
Living life.
Oh, so great, Dontae. James, thank you so much for your patience over on YouTube. He wants to know if you do any lead pipe buzzing. What do you think about doing that?
There's a great trumpet player in LA named Javier who can probably do anything. And I think he's coming out with a book. I told him let me be his first guinea pig on his study of lead pipe mastery because he can play so many registers and octaves so effortlessly. And so listening to him and my friend Sean, I've seen his range go up just buzzing the lead pipe. And do I do it often now? No. When we were on tour, Sean did it every day. I started doing it a little bit. I noticed that it changed some of the flexibility in the instrument. I noticed that it mainly controlled your consistency of your blow. So let's say, for example, you can't blow a lead pipe without any abdominal, I don't want to say force, but some kind of tension. You have to tighten up a little bit to get the lead pipe to even move. And I think once you have your abdomen area tight, your core, and it's engaged. I should say engaged, that's the best word. Once you engage your core, the air has a certain amount of consistency to it. Then the lead pipe is moving, buzzing. We know now that the trumpet doesn't play from, notes are not sounded from your lips actually buzzing, but from standing waves that are created from you blowing through the lead pipe. Am I right?
Yes, that's it. Actually, as a matter, I want to plug real quick. We're uploading a video in the next week that actually shows a Noah Airflow mouthpiece.
It's not that. Yeah, so we used to think,
yeah,
but it's really the standing waves that are vibrating. So because of that, we know that engagement, air, standing wave, and then to control those waves, right? I took my range up by doing this exercise I saw Adam Rapper doing on YouTube, like going. He said, man, a high note is just this. So it's that small part of the lead pipe being buzzed. It's not strength. And so when you see a trumpet player play high, it sounds and it looks like you see Maynard. It's like, man, he's lifting up 20 trucks. No, but really, this is happening. No matter what he's physically doing, that instrument only accepts this. It's like the tube is small. It only can take but so much air. So it's not like blowing a lot of air. It's a small, compressed, fast amount of air. And I don't know why they don't tell us this when we kids. There's so many mysteries around the trumpet growing up that I feel like we lose 20 years for those who are not natural players. Don't get me wrong. Some people pick it up, bam, they got it, and they just practice, they get better. I'm talking about us guys who are like workers. Me, Terrell Stafford, and a couple other guys who you're really clear about, listen, I had to work to get everything I have. That road is so long, and it doesn't have to be that long if people just, I guess we got YouTube and Google now, so now we can like look at trumpet players physically. So it's much faster than when you just had books and just one teacher in your city. That being said, the lead pipe, I think, helps you to slur in between partials and compress the partials, make them smaller so that an octave really becomes like a second or a third. And I think the smaller you make the partials, the easier you're able to jump through octaves and jump through ranges, which inevitably gives you a virtuosity and an ease flowing through the instrument, which is the goal of any good trumpet player, to be able to go from low C to double C just by having your face stay the same and using as little air movement as possible. That's the goal. Lead pipe kind of instructs that physiology, I believe. So yes, it is good to do the lead pipe. I don't think you should do it too much. I don't think it's a thing you do every day for an hour, but I think it's more of a 5 minutes a day kind of thing. Great question.
Great. Thanks. And thanks, James, on YouTube. This is so cool having people all over.
Tell them look up Javier.
Yeah, Javier. Oh man, I went to school with him. We'll put the link in the comments here. Yeah. So yeah, we have a question coming in from Twitter about where did that go here? Oh yeah, Mashika sending you love. We are live here with Dontae Winslow taking your questions. I mean, a great way to spend a Tuesday afternoon. So inspiring, and I mean, I'm so glad to have you on here, Dontae. So if we could, shoot, where did this question went? Yeah. So yeah, what do you do like if you're on the road and stuff and you're having a bad day? How do you work through it?
I hate bad days.
Yeah.
We all
don't we do?
Yeah. Bad days normally means you're stiff. It's kind of like your body. Your trumpet playing is like your body. Your body's stiff. Oh, my back hurt. Oh, I worked too hard yesterday. And how do you get stiff? You got to loosen up. Normally, warm, hot air like sauna can loosen you up. A hot shower can loosen your lips up, and just doing buzzing and not playing a lot. For me, let's say I play a 3-hour show and I go to a jam session, or I practice like 5 hours and I end it with long tones of hard playing. Rest is the best remedy, I believe. But if you have to play the next day, then the slowest, softest, most delicate warm up, I think, is apropos. Taking a warm shower and buzzing the lips, steam, getting the flesh to be supple, and then buzzing the mouthpiece, and then some long, soft, low tones, really soft, because the softer you play, the more you get every incremental little piece of flesh to vibrate, I think, and then leave it alone, and go a little higher and leave it alone. And then don't play loud that day or that morning. I learned a secret 10 years ago where I play early in the morning the day I have to play somewhere. I hate going to a gig and warming up right before I play and then going to play. That's my first time playing. I always play better when it's my second time playing, if that makes sense. So I get up 7, 8 in the morning, play something, even if it's slow, and then put it away. That's just to tell the lips, hey, I love you. Can you be good for me later? Yeah, I'll be good for you later. I'll wake up for you later. Second time I play, it's like, hey, I remember you. You my cousin. I had you last night. Let's get on. And then once I play the second time, my lips just feel like Superman for some reason. So a soft, low warm up in the morning, and then gradually get into it the second time you play. I think that will make you have a really good day after a bad day.
Yeah, beautiful advice. Because, and we don't always have good days. Some days the trumpet wins.
Some days the trumpet wins. Well, Dizzy Gillespie said the trumpet will always win and kick your butt in the end.
Right. Dontae, who inspired you when you were growing up? Who were your trumpet or musical heroes that inspired you?
Who name everybody who's played the trumpet. I mean, I can go. Let me see. Go start early. It's Herbert L. Clark, Louis Armstrong, greatest trumpet player ever. Roy Aldrich, Clifford Brown, Dizzy Gillespie, Fats Navarro, Kenny Dorham, moving up, Woody Shaw, Freddie Hubbard. I got to play with Freddie Hubbard, yay, when I was 15. Wynton Marsalis, Roy Hargrove, my most recent, greatest influence, my mentor since I was 14. I'm probably most influenced by Roy because I knew him personally. I practiced with him for years and years and years. He took me from a child and kind of showed me the ropes of jazz when I was just like, what is this? And he's like, dude, it's like, I was a little baby. He was like, play like the snare drum. I got to spend so much time one-on-one with Roy in a room, going to jam sessions, going to clubs and going to jam sessions, going to his house, spending the night, seeing him wake up, seeing him warm up. See, I got to see him like a real apprentice in a laboratory. I got to see him sharpen his sword and swing his sword and defeat foes. You know what I mean? I've never seen him fall or fumble. I've seen him play songs he didn't know and hear it one time and memorize the changes and go murder it. I got to see him record 4 tracks in his house 10, 15 years before the D'Angelo record where he overdubbed himself. So that's probably my most recent and greatest influence. Rest in peace, the great Roy Hargrove. He's probably the last great, jazz trumpet player. Nicholas Payton, amazing. I called him once when I was 18 in high school, when all the cats in New Orleans were talking about him. I was just learning the trumpet, just learning jazz. He had already, his parents played music. He was playing piano and voicings and playing the trumpet, and he already played multiple instruments. I was like, man, how does kid get this so young? Like young Lee Morgan. I'm always amazed by prodigies when people get it at a very young age. Sometimes it's just a natural gift, and sometimes, their parents' exposure to it. Lee Morgan, I forgot to say, one of my favorite players from probably 15 going all the way through college. Classical-wise, Maurice Andre, Phil Smith, Rolf Smedvig, Ole Edvard Antonsen. He's my friend now. We shared online. Great Norwegian virtuoso. He's probably one of the best classical players in the world. Who else? I used to listen to Thomas Stevens growing up. Langston Fitzgerald, Don Tyson. There's some local players in the Maryland area you might not know. Military players, Mark Wood. I forgot Wallace Roney. Rest in peace, the great Wallace Roney, my great mentor, who taught me so much about jazz, so much about harmony, who believed in me when I was very, very young. I know I'm forgetting some people. Terrence Blanchard, of course, who was a teacher. Terrell Stafford. Recent players, you have new players now. Sean Jones, Marquise Hill. There's so many young guys playing now. So I mean, there are endless amount of great trumpet players that are span the history, and I feel like I can listen to any particular person on a particular day based on what I think I want to work on. If I'm working on a smoky sound, a bright sound, Maynard Ferguson. If I'm working on, lead playing, Gonzo, Conrad Gonzo.
Gonzo, yeah.
Snooky Young. If I'm working on, big band stuff, Cat Anderson, just any genre. I kind of go to the genre, and I think about Jerry Hay, Gary Grant. I listened to him in middle school. One of my first gigs, I wanted to play with Michael Jackson. So studying those amazing arrangements, I'm like, man, these guys are just like, they almost sound like keyboards. It's so clean, and the way it was recorded, and the ribbon mic, and the, So I look at, the trumpet is such a wide range of how it's been played through history. You just tell me a decade and a genre, and I just go to it and find some of the top players, and I just put it in my ear. One thing I will say is, if I have a gig coming up, I listen to players who are in and around the gig I'm about to do. You know what I mean? If I'm doing a film session, I might check out the LA Phil. And then if I'm doing a classical session, I might check out some classical players. If I'm doing a jazz session, I'm gonna go back to some Kenny Dorham. If I'm doing a big band session, I'm gonna listen to some lead players. If I'm doing a pop section, I'm gonna listen to some Sea Wind Horns, Earth, Wind and Fire. If I'm doing a English kind of trumpet cornet setting, I may listen to some old Phil Smith recordings. It depends on what I'm about to do. I kind of put that in my ear just to get my DNA, because it's like osmosis, right? I'm a chameleon. So if I listen to it for a day, I can absorb it.
Beautiful. You're a fan of the trumpet, like you said. You
Yeah,
live it.
I might have left Miles Davis out. Y'all don't leave Miles Davis. I think Miles has the best sound that's probably ever come out of a trumpet. Tone wise, I think he has the most pleasing. You put on a Miles Davis record and no one's offended. It's not like, oh, that's a trumpet. It's like that's a velvet. That's a warm summer day. So I think for him, he's transcended trumpet. He just sounds like a color to me. So I like Miles because I would try to play the trumpet like a sexy woman could listen to it right next to her ear, and the bell is here, and she would not turn away or be offended. That's the sound I think the trumpet should have if it's not trying to declare war.
Great description. Great description. We have time just for a few more questions. So many people in the comments are getting inspired by what you're saying, and I mean, I've known you for a long time, Dontae, so I'm not surprised. I mean, just ooze
Thank you.
enthusiasm.
The comments, unfortunately, but thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And for those of you who just joined us, don't worry. This whole Q&A will be archived, excuse me, both on our Facebook page, on the Bob Reeves Brass Facebook page, so you can rewind and watch the whole thing from the beginning in case you missed some of the questions. It'll also be up on YouTube. So if you have friends or family that don't have social media or aren't on Facebook for whatever reason, you can go to the Bob Reeves Brass YouTube channel, and this Q&A will be up there in its entirety. So it's there for posterity's sake. There's so much great information you've been giving, Dontae. So I'm going to go back and listen because I'm checking comments and making sure everything's going right. So I want to go back and make sure I listen to everything you had to say.
I saw the comments on one side of this page. I wanted to say, Ray was talking about my solfege voice note. I do voice notes. People who know me well know I do solfege a lot. You know, I can't recommend enough for young students to learn how to solfege. You know, do, mi, do, fa, la, do, la, fa, so, ti, re, ti, so, mi, re, do, fa, mi, re, ra, te, la, so, fa, ra, mi, re, fa, la, do, ti, so, la, fa, mi, re, so, fi, fa, la, mi, ra, mi, re, do, ti, le, so, fa, mi, so, do. Like getting around a scale or a harmony just for solfege can, one, if you hear a horn lick, you can play it right back, especially if you don't have perfect pitch. You know how to write it without having to practice it or guess the notes. Also, playing jazz, you can kind of hear what you're going to play before you play it. So I think a great ear training exercise is just to learn solfege. It saved my life in so many days, remembering melodies I couldn't remember. Somebody shout, play this, and you got to play it 3 minutes later into the song, but you got to remember what it was. I solfege it to myself.
Yeah, so those of us that were in college and musicianship and couldn't wait to get out of musicianship and solfege, someone who's actually using it for your career and on a daily basis, it's amazing. Couple last questions and we'll wrap up here. James over on YouTube this could be a long question. What equipment do you use? And not just trumpet, flugelhorn, mouthpieces, etc., but also keyboards, home recording gear, things like that. So is that something you can go through?
Sure. Adams trumpets is what I play. One of them is kind of like a constellation. One is similar to a Martin Committee. They sound amazing. They're easy for me. I always play small bore trumpets because I don't know, I have a little body, little wind capacity. I feel like everything is small on me. And when I play large bore, I'm winded and I'm hurting and it's physically difficult. So small bore trumpet or medium bore or small bore, not medium large. It's too big for me. I play small mouthpieces because, again, I need as much resistance on the front end as possible. Sometimes with a big bell, it'll free up the resistance. That works for me. I love analog keyboards, Mini Moogs, Jupiters, Juno. A lot of Korg keyboards. I endorse Korg. I love Dave Smith Instruments. I love Logic, Pro Tools, and Ableton. I love live instruments in any capacity, Rhodes, piano, guitar, any kind of instrument that's live. I try to put it in my recordings. Full string sections, of course, everything that's in the orchestra, cello, violin, viola, every live instrument. Mics, I love ribbon mics. I love Lewitt mics are my favorite for vocals. Ribbons are my favorite for brass instruments. I like AEA a lot. My favorite setup is setting all my keyboards up to play at once, kind of MIDIing them together, or if it's analog. Me and Jedi, we've been doing a lot of things where we can play one chord and it'll almost sound every keyboard I had to make the biggest, most amazing 10 oscillator synth patch you can think of. I think I'm a big fan of sound, so getting analog instruments to organically move around each other and make weird sounds and just vibrate oscillators and be detuned. To me, that's really tantalizing to the ear. I think it makes the person feel like the instrument is actually living, it's alive and moving, as opposed to just a sample. A sample is like a picture of a sound, but a live analog instrument, the circuitry is like looking at a real person in real life, like it's moving, you know. So for me, analog instruments as much as possible, analog keyboards and synths. I like banging on stuff. I got a lot of little toys that I play with in the house, and bells and glockenspiels and things of that nature that I add to songs. And that's it. Microphone, laptop, analog instruments, trumpet. I'm really good at stacking and multi-tracking songs at home. I've been doing it, of course, for more than 25 years, so experience helps. Study your engineers, your mixers out there. Listen to whole songs from beginning to end and dissect each part. Listen to the kick all the way through, listen to the bass all the way through, listen to the guitar all the way through, horns all the way through. Each time you listen, focus on just a different aspect of the mix, of the instrument in a mix, to get better at the relationship between, like I was talking about earlier, weight, heavy, light, loud, sparse, busy. That helps you understand why a song is and how a song moves and why people respond the way they respond to it.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, we wouldn't be a Trumpet Q&A without talking about equipment, but then that list I started glazing over with the the electronic equipment outside of my area of expertise, but I know a lot of the viewers would really appreciate that. So, yeah, man, what a setup. We have time for one more question, and for those of you who want to learn more about Dontae, you talked about earlier, the podcast we do at the shop, The Other Side of the Bell, Dontae was featured on one of the episodes. So wherever you wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, search for The Other Side of the Bell. And Dontae's episode was incredible, talking about growing up and going to Peabody and just all the twists and turns of your career to end up where you got to where you are today. Was really an amazing episode, and I think one of the most downloaded, and certainly the one we get the most feedback from. So
I got downloads. Yay!
Yeah, oh yeah. So for those of you viewing, go check out the Other Side of the Bell podcast and check out Dontae Winslow's episode. And speaking of which, so the last question comes from Craig Talley. I hope that last name is right. Craig over in Baltimore. He wants to know, how have you been inspired? How has Baltimore inspired you?
So many ways. My blood is Baltimore. My thinking, everything that the city is, has made me who I am, and the pain of the city and the hopefulness of the city keeps me inspired day to day. I think about my life in Baltimore every day. My childhood is on my shoulder. Like I tell many people, as soon as I go to play at the microphone, North Avenue is right here. Westwood is right here. My elementary school. I don't forget things I've been through, and so I'm always connected to my past. I don't know if that would ever change. I hope it wouldn't change, but I mean, I'm over 40 now, and I still remember everything from age 3, age 10, and those memories, both good and bad, infect my music. I see Baltimore as a city of struggle, and it seems like, we talk about a lot of musicians, artists from Baltimore. It seems like people hold them back. It's like a wall where people try to hold you back when you're from Baltimore, and that makes the person from Baltimore a little tougher. When you think about people, artists, comedians, actors that come from Baltimore, they always have an edge, right? Even though the women from Baltimore, the men, there's an edginess, there's a raw, unfiltered quality to people who are in the city, that are from the city, that pass through. And that edginess is a part of my artistry. The authenticity that people give me credit for, or the transparency, I think, is a part of what I've been sent here to deliver as a message. And for me, I don't have time to really filter it. I don't do it naturally, but we don't know when our last day will be, and the time that we're here is very short. And so every moment counts, every hour counts, what we say counts, every frequency I vibrate counts. So I liken the time I spend with you guys even now is God using me and speaking through me to help someone. It'll help this person this way. It'll help that person this way. It'll be young. They'll be old. They'll be black. They'll be white. They'll be Asian. They'll be on the other side of the earth. They'll be from your town. But the words generating, for me at least, are what the universe wants to be said. We're all just vessels. So how can we better become the best vessel that we can be, to be used to glorify the one who made all of us, right? That's the goal of life. The only way to be a good vessel is to stand in a state of allowance, to allow yourself to be used, to be humble enough to be molded, to still learn. We don't know everything, right? Some of us know a lot of things over here, over there, but to be used constantly, right? So ego gets in the way and blocks that. So the goal is to every day push your ego out the way and be used. You wake up, boom, I feel like I'm push that down, honor the one who made you, and then look at who comes by you. Because, it's like divine order. Every day a new person comes, a new person. How can I shed light into this person? My thing is always building up. I'm not saying that you can't have jokes. And I know family people, they talk, they laugh, they joke things, they joke their children, they joke. I'm not saying that that's impermissible. But I think that if you can, edifying God is looking at the other person across the way from you, looking eye to eye, and telling them something special about them. Because you can find something special about everybody. Like, for example, John Snell, I love your kindness.
Oh,
That's a great quality.
thank you, Dontae. Man,
Welcome. That right there. Now, I may never talk to you again, but that will stay with you. And for me, that's how you're used in the universe. You find something about, hey man, I like the way you tie your shoes. Hey man, I like the way you read books. I like the way you, because that's the force. Nature wants to make us all better, but people resist it, right? Resistance is, I don't want to be better. If we talking about the social issues we talk about now, I'm stuck to my flag. I'm stuck to my country, to my team, to my politics, but what about just be good? Just goddamn be good. And we know what good is, because when you think about a kindergartner, you know what good is. Good is life, safety, love, health for all people. Good is me not banging you in the face in the third grade. Good is me not putting a tack under the teacher's chair. Good is me not bullying you. You know what good is. But are you able to ignore or resist the temptation to follow the pack, to follow peer pressure, to be bullied by your friends at any age? Don't get it twisted. 50-year-old men will get bullied too. You know what I mean? So the goal for me is to be fearless in everything I do, to be used and be as authentic as possible, so that God can say, man, I'm proud of you. I mean, my mother, I want to make her proud. She's gone. Now I live to make my children, my wife proud, but I want God to be proud. I want him to look at me and be like, Dontae, you did it, man. You killed it. Like, I gave you a good run and you killed your run. That's my goal.
man. You think we're going to talk trumpet and buzzing and stuff like that, and I love having you on because every time you come to the shop, back when it was safe to be here, yeah, everyone loves you. You don't just say it, you live it, and because it's true. Every time you come in, you're making everyone happy, and wow, what great advice, and so much love in the comments. I can't believe it's already been over an hour. We were going to go like half hour, 45 minutes. This is amazing, Dontae. Thank you so much. And we could do this every week. Sorry, I lost you. We could do this every week, but you'd have your own show, right?
Thank you, man. I so appreciate you. Well, tell those people I do have a show every Friday. We talk, me and my wife, Queen Chic, we talk on my page. They can follow it. It's called @Winslows. I'm going to see if I can put it in the comments. It's on IG Live. We do @Winslows with an S, @Winslows with an S, every Friday at 9 p.m. And please follow that page on IG Live. We talk about love, life, things of this nature. It's, me and my wife, so it's couple based. Sometimes we talk about marriage, sometimes we talk about single people, sometimes we talk about politics. We don't do a lot of politics. We do mostly hard stuff. We talk about things that involve being a human and being alive and being able to navigate what we all are navigating at the same time. And if something that is gleaned from us can bless you, that'll be a good reason to tune in. Some people got it all figured out, and then you would need to tune in if you do. But if you like, what I think is a monumental blessing given me and my wife through God, our love, if you like learning anything that love can teach, I think that would be a good reason to tune in. So @Winslows on IG Live every Friday night, 9 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, 6 p.m. if you're on the West Coast.
So great if you need a dose of inspiration like a lot of us do these days. And can't wait to have you on again some point and talk about trumpet and all the other stuff that you do. Really amazing. It's been
thank you, man.
Such an honor, Dontae. And then so when you said the Instagram website, what's the best place to have folks follow you?
Follow me @Dontae Winslow on Instagram, @Dontae Winslow, and for relationship page @Winslows with an S. Winslows with an S. Awesome. Instagram.
So we'll make sure we have all those links down in the comments. And what fun! What a great way to spend a Tuesday afternoon, Dontae.
Thank you. You're a blessing, brother.
Can't wait to see you in person again when it's safe.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, be safe.
All right, you too. And thank you for watching. Man, what an afternoon. Can you believe that? Talk about everything from trumpet to producing to writing to stage presence and inspiration, just how to be a good person. I love Dontae and can't wait to have him back on here again. And as I mentioned before, be sure to listen to the Other Side of the Bell podcast everywhere where you listen to podcasts. It's on, as I said, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Just search for The Other Side of the Bell and check out Dontae's episode. Coming up tomorrow, we will have a trombone Q&A with Alan Kaplan. Alan was just recently featured on our trombone podcast, The Trombone Corner, that I co-host with Noah Gladstone of the Brass Arc. So he will be here live tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. again, Pacific time, here to answer your trombone-related questions. I mean, Alan has done, just about everything in the studios, from cartoons to TV to movies. Oh, and by the way, he was on Buddy Rich's big band at 19 years old. So great trombone artist to have on tomorrow. So be sure to follow us, all the usual places down below, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so you don't miss out. We'll be doing 1 or 2 Q&As every week, so you don't want to miss them. Thank you so much. Be safe, be healthy wherever you are viewing from around the world. It's been so great to have you with us. Until next time, I'm John Snell. Bye-bye for now.